Going right. So this question does come up a lot, or I see this a lot, in that there's quite a few people that say no, no limits. When asked what are your limits, they say no limits whatsoever. I'm like, you've got to have limits. Um, Things such as, I don't know, not contacting you at work, not meshing your kink life and vanilla life together, going to the emergency room, anything that could possibly cause any permanent damage to you physically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, all of that limits. Uh, and as I said, that, you know, there could be instances where um, I would say that they are looking for something, and I am very cautious when dealing with people that say that they have no limits whatsoever, because you've got to have limits. And if they don't have limits, you definitely do have your own limits, because that's an aspect of kink as well, is the control aspect. Some like to release control, some like to take control. And I would say, ask them, okay, say you know limits in what aspect, and what areas of kink are no limits. Like, are they no limits when it comes to humiliation? Are there no limits to particular sorts of impact play, to time, being in a straitjacket, to the amount of layers they can have in latex and stuff like that? You need to know that although there are limits obviously there, but what they think are no limits are still limits there, if not for them, their safety, so you can play with them again, and for yours. If they really want to go to the extreme, I would say that they probably need to seek some professional help. You can work in conjunction with that. I'm not saying that it's definitely a thing. There are a lot of people who do play at higher levels, and there's very few people that would be classed as no limit. But a lot of these people have long-term play partners or dynamics where they know each other's limits, so it looks like they're no limit, but it's more that they have been together and played together for so long that they know what a person can and can't take. Plus, a lot of them are still around, so if anything does happen to hurt them, they will take care of each other on that level. And like I said, it appears to be no limit, but there are still limits that have been tested and tried and pushed over long periods of time, increasing intensity in play in whatever area. It's not just one area. It doesn't have to be just the physical. It could be the mindset as well. It could be like a no limits in pet play. And people go, well, what do you mean? It means that you could spend so long or a lot so that you actually become that pet. Um, and you can do things that other people can and can't do, that some people think, oh, that's a limit. But again, it depends on situation and context. Yeah, I would I would say definitely take a pause when someone says that they're no limit, sub or dom, either or. Definitely take a pause. Some people say, oh, but they can be convinced and they can do this. Again, be very cautious. Be very cautious for your own sake, health, not only just, physically, emotionally, mentally, but also legally as well. Because there's some things you just can't do, and you could open up a whole can of worms, which is why I do not encourage people to do non-consensual play at all. I discourage it and say no, you don't want to do that, particularly if it's with somebody that you don't know, that you've just met. That's a whole can of worms. So, to me, there is no such thing as no limits, because breathing. But there are some people who have this image in mind of no limits, like the ultimate slave. They have, like, I want to be ultimate slave. There's no limits there. But what is it that they actually mean in their mind as to no limits? And talking to them and saying, you actually do have limits, because example, don't you mind being collared or put in a stall or put in a cage, or for a temporary time, all that sort of stuff? Or do you still want to do that up until detrimental physical, emotional health and well-being, all sorts of other stuff? Now, there are some people that will go no limits, in that they will hand over a lot of control of their lives to some other people, like financial and all that sort of stuff. The reality is, the person can still take all that control back. They can walk out at any time. They might feel emotionally connected or whatnot to them, but quite literally, they can still walk out at any time. They can still take back their life. It might be a little harder, but that is still the case. You can get people in abusive relationships where it is extremely difficult to leave. So that's why I also, and a lot of the responsible DOMs that I know, also encourage contact with people not in the dynamic, not in your little kink world, to maintain that sort of grounding for you, so you can still maintain, I guess, a sense of you that is able to walk away if it becomes such a detrimental thing to either parties. Because I have seen some D types who have also been unable to walk away from predatory subs. And yes, there are predatory subs quite a lot more, if not equal to. I would say, actually, no, not a lot more, but there are quite a lot of predatory subs that I'd say equal to, on par in number or percentage in the world, with some predatory DOMs. But that's just my point of view and my experience, and that's could be different for different areas, cultures, locations, subset groups of the kink in that as well. But again, no limits. To me, no such thing. Have a good chat with them about why they think they're the no limit. What does it mean to them? And yeah, it's not just one aspect, and that's just the kink aspect. Think no limits as in, do you want this stuff to intrude on your regular everyday life, family, kids, career, financial, legal, all that sort of stuff. So again, have a good chat, communication, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.